Hello, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. We're going to read your tarot cards here. If the cards will unstick. All right, let's do it, guys. Please come into this reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something, to better yourself. If the messages that come through for you don't resonate, that's totally fine. That sometimes happens. Feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date, at time. Sometimes tarot messages make more sense in the future. You have a lot of sticky cards today, Sagittarius. I wonder if that is symbolic of what? I don't know, but maybe we'll find out together. All right, and do just remember you are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is, of course, optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. Let's set the intention to get you some clear, insightful, helpful messages for the coming weeks or months. One more card for Sagittarius. All right. Ooh, and it's the Wheel of Fortune. What a card to end on. Love it. All right, so bottom of the deck. What's up, bottom of the deck? You have the Five of Potions. Oh, gosh. The Five of Cups. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. We're using the Nightmare Before Christmas deck, as you can see, but I'm actually using it in Scorpio season since it's kind of a spooky themed deck. That being said, I typically get really good readings from this deck, so hang with me. It's not just fun and fluff, right? All right, so Five of Cups. Let's touch upon that just to start. If that's the underlying theme of your message here, it could be that you're going through some emotional turbulence. It could be that you're feeling a little bit down or depressed. That being said, you know that's not what I do here at the Intuitive Teacup. We're going to try and inspire you and lift your energy and lift your spirits. But it's important to focus on that so that we can work our way through it, right? Fives are agents of change and chaos in tarot, right? And cups or potions, as it is in this deck, has to do with our emotions. It has to do with what we're feeling on the inside. And with that, there can be a great opportunity to work through some major emotional changes or emotional baggage, if you want to use that term. It's what we do with that emotion that is going to help sort of guide us and bring us into this next chapter. It definitely opens the door of possibility for creative endeavors and creative pursuits as a really healthy way to express our emotions that maybe, because it's a little more subconscious, you know, when you put the paintbrush in your hand, you don't know what's going to come out, but odds are it's something fairly profound. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, though, when those emotions are projected onto another person, right? It's easier to kind of work through those emotions independently sometimes than with another person, but not always, right? So I have a feeling, whatever the case is for you, Sagittarius, there is something being highlighted here that, like, we can't just pretend it doesn't exist. We can't just kind of swallow it and, you know, bury it down so that we deal with it on another day. I feel like the universe is saying, remember that rainy day? Like, it has arrived. And so now we actually have to look at the gunk, the muck, the ugly stuff that we don't like to deal with, because ultimately Scorpio season is all about endings, and Scorpio actually does kind of have to do with that muck and that gunk and that yucky stuff, and transforming it into something profound and powerful, right? What is that expression? It's like is it a lotus that grows from the mud? That's like a really good sort of symbol for maybe what's going on here. It's like, yeah, we have some stuff to dig through, but it'll be worth it in the end. So anyway, let's focus a little bit more on your cards. Right smack in the middle of your spread, you have the Justice card, very indicative of Libra energy. So that is about balance. That is about equilibrium. It is about relationships. It's about partnership. It's about contracts. It's a major arcana card, so that is presenting as a very strong theme in your reading. So you have the Three of Wands, the Three of Candles here, which is typically waiting for your ships to come in. So it could be that some of you are sort of on the brink of a breakthrough in something related to a contract, maybe new partnership at work, or it could be romantic partnership. And then you have the Hierophant. So what's really interesting is, like, those two cards next to each other, the Hierophant and Justice, are both signs, Libra and Taurus, ruled by planet Venus, right? So Venus similarly is about romance and love and relationships. It's also about luxury, comfort, food, things we enjoy, creativity, music, art, fashion, things of that nature. So if you work in any type of career or field that you would, you know, quote unquote, consider a Venus type career, you know, aesthetics, beauty, that's more the Libra side of Venus. The Taurus side is more to do with nature and, you know, organic and, you know, forestry, things in nature and maybe animals, things like that. Possibly a long time coming, a contract to work in some sort of Venus-related career field. I know that's a little bit general. That might not speak to all of you. Others of you, it could be waiting for your ships to come in, quote unquote, with this Three of Wands for a partnership that could actually stand the test of time. Justice and the Hierophant can absolutely, like, big time speak of marriage contracts. And if it's not a formal marriage contract, it could speak of, especially in Scorpio season, a soul contract, the idea of a soul mate. Maybe twin flame. I use that term kind of loosely. I have mixed feelings about that term, but I do like the idea of soulmate and soulmates for that matter. I think friendships can be soulmates too, right? People you connect with in a spiritual sense in this lifetime that, you have something to learn from them and vice versa. They have something to learn from you. This feels like a partnership coming in for a lot of it's funny, I almost called you Scorpio. Interesting. For a lot of my Sagittarians. And again, I do mention the signs Taurus and Libra. It doesn't necessarily have to be with one of those signs, but it certainly could be. Interesting, though, that there is sort of this loss or this grieving with the Five of Cups, because I'm not exactly sure how that factors in yet. Maybe you do. Maybe this is all making sense to you. But, these cards seem very positive. It's not instantaneous with the Three of Wands, but it is relatively soon because, fire is one of the fastest moving elements, right? As opposed to earth and water, which I consider more slow. Fire and air are a little bit more speedy. They get things done. What moves quicker than our mind, right? That's air energy. And fire signs, like you, Sagittarius, are all about action and movement and thrusting forward. Thrusting. Ooh, that sounds sexy. All right, moving on. Hopefully that message will make more sense as we kind of dig into this. So then up top here, we have the Five of Candles. So again, another five. We have the Emperor, which is a very strong card of career, and we have the Knight of Candles. This entire line is very fire-based energy. So Aries, Sagittarius, and Leo are actually all present here. More so Aries, I will say that for sure. This feels like a fight or a drama or a quarrel or competition with someone at work, or in a romantic capacity, fighting to be seen. If it feels, I don't know why, Sagittarius, but for me, this feels like you are in competition for someone's attention, and they may or may not have eyes on someone else. And so I don't know if it's a literal fight or quarrel. If anything, it might kind of be this internal battle or this internal struggle of wanting to be seen and not feeling worthy or not feeling as equal as those around you, even though I think you absolutely are. Like, to me, there's no reason why you're less than in any capacity here. But I just sort of get the idea that the attention isn't solely on you and you know it, and that is bothersome to you. That is troublesome. And understandably so, if it does have to do with someone you have a crush on or someone who, you're seeking their admiration and attention, even possibly like a boss figure. And I don't mean that in a romantic capacity per se, though that could be for some of you. But yes, someone else here holds the power of choice, especially with the Justice card underneath, and that seems to make you very uncomfortable because I think you're vying for a spot. You may be in a situation, whether it's career related or not, where there is a sense of competition, where, you can only do your best and contribute what you can in maybe a certain amount of time, and then it's like, it's there and someone else is going to be the judge or someone else is going to determine your fate. Now that sounds a little bit spooky. For some of you could just be competing in like a race or something, right? It's possible where, it could quite literally be a competition of some sort, but maybe it's for fun. But I don't know. It does seem to be, I don't know. I do think it's related to this Five of Cups too, of feeling defeated. And I don't mean to go all grim and sad, right? For some of you, though, there is this feeling of rejection that stems from not being chosen. And it doesn't mean you're out, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're fired or that you'll never find romantic partnership. Of course it doesn't, right? This is a minor setback. But I think the universe is asking you to really be self-aware when you start to swing a little bit negative. And internally you start to have that, this doesn't feel good, this feels yucky. I'm going to rush into some new situation so that I can completely abandon this icky feeling that I have of rejection. And I know this is hard, and I know this message isn't easy to hear, but there is something of value in actually understanding and interpreting and hanging out in that space of, why am I feeling like this? Why is it that because my crush chose someone else that I all of a sudden feel a lack of my own value and self-worth? Like, why is someone else's decision impacting me so strongly in terms of like the emotional capacity? And with fire energy, my confidence, my verve, my enthusiasm, my kind of go get 'em attitude. It almost it symbolically feels like pouring, a bucket of water on a campfire. Like it simmers out. And I think this has a lot to do with placing power in other people's hands and like going along with it. Giving your power away, more or less. And of course, you're not doing this intentionally, but it does have to do with stepping into your own self and your confidence. And for a lot of you, bear with me, I mean this in a complimentary way, owning your weirdness, owning your individuality and what makes you you, and understanding that might not be everyone's taste. With Venus energy, that's a good metaphor. It might not be palatable to everyone, but that doesn't mean you should dim your light or be a conformist or try to be something you're not. Those are not things I typically associate with Sagittarius as conformity. However, I think there is a very strong desire and a strong drive to be charismatic and be well liked. I think that's true for any fire sign, because whether you realize it or not, fire sign Sagittarius, as well as Aries and Leo, people gravitate towards fire. It's something kind of, I find just inexplicable but interesting, is fire signs garner a lot of attention without having to do very much. So that's a skill and a talent, or I won't even say that, sort of this innate characteristic that you have by being a fire sign. And so when you don't automatically get it, you may jump to this conclusion of, wait a minute, what am I doing wrong? And I'm not saying you feel like that. I'm not saying you always feel like you come out on top and that you have a lot of attention, but I will say you likely do. And it's likely something that, bear with me, you may take for granted a little bit, because it's almost like a DNA thing. It's like you were born into being this fire sign. And Sagittarian, all the more, right? In terms of Leo and Aries being the other two partners in crime there, you're ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is like the most benevolent, lovely, kind, generous, funny, charismatic, money-oriented, lucky, well-traveled, intelligent sign, or planet, really. And like, you're ruled by that. So like, what I'm trying to emphasize here in a very long, drawn-out way is like, you're awesome. Like, this Jupiter energy is like a blessing in your life. It's not to say you don't have struggles and challenges like every single other person, every single other zodiac sign does, but you can lean into that Jupiter energy of, you know what, it's going to be okay. Like, the power of positivity is very real in a lot of Sagittarians. And so with that, this sort of optimism and everything will be great, you're absolutely right. But on your darker days, it can go really dark. It can kind of, especially in Scorpio season, ruling your 12th house if you're Sagittarian rising, right? It can kind of be this time of like psychological torment of like, I'm showing up and I'm doing me and whatever, but it's just not working out. Like, why isn't anyone catching the fire I have? Why isn't anyone kind of in the same spirit or in the same headspace that I'm at? And I mean, I don't have a solution for you other than that's just life. Sometimes you're going to be in situations where people just don't jive with you, or there's just something about you that, you weren't the chosen one. It's like, I don't mean to laugh, but this, I think, and I shouldn't laugh. I don't mean to be insensitive, but there's a situation here that you're really taking to heart. And I'm hearing the word rejection. It stems from the word rejection. You're really taking it to heart, and it's like shaking you at your core. But this whole thing is so minor and so tiny in the grand scheme of things that, like, I don't want you to run away from the emotions, because I think it's a really tremendous time for you to do some in-depth psychological kind of purging, cleaning things out, looking at those skeletons in your closet face to face and understanding that they don't hold power over you anymore, not replaying narratives from the past that have kept you stuck. It's important to spend time doing that energetic work to make room for new blessings. But overall, this situation is just so minor in the grand scheme of things that if you fast forward a month or two ahead, it's not even going to be a thing anymore. It's really not. This is about moving forward and not getting hell-bent on convincing someone that you're good enough. If they don't see your talent, that's their loss. And I think part of you has to look at it like that. And then on the more maybe humble, realistic side, it also has to understand that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them or with you. You know, there's certain people who are quote unquote soulmates for you in this lifetime and other people who aren't. But I will say you can learn just as much from your adversaries, if not more. And maybe adversary isn't the right term. People who challenge you, right? And challenge your belief systems. You can learn just as much from them as you can the people who you click with and you consider your best friends, your soulmate, your wolf pack, whatever. I say that because of this guy, right? And I think there's an important lesson tied to this. All right, we've spent a lot of time on that. I hope you're still with me. Let's go down here where your Wheel of Fortune comes in because I'm excited about that. Real quick, I do feel like there's a fellow fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, who I'm getting the idea of like a secret crush. I think they desire commitment with you, but it's interesting. It's a similar message. It's like they fear that they're not good enough or that you don't see them or that you're just not interested. Fate is going to change that. So I don't know if this is for the cross watchers, but yeah, I do feel like someone has a secret crush on you. And with the Hierophant desires something committed or maybe quote unquote traditional. That's going to mean something different to everyone out there, but something that is more exclusive. I wouldn't say casual dating. You know, the Hierophant is Taurian energy. So it's that fixed, like hunker down in it energy, you know, put it in stone, cast it in stone type thing. It could be a fellow Sagittarius. That's possible. But I don't know. There's a little bit of like secret energy here. So I don't know if they're coming forward in Scorpio season. It's possible, especially with the Wheel of Fortune, it's possible that feelings may be uncovered and known more in Sagittarius season. So happy early birthday. Maybe you have a nice little partnership coming into you. And that could indicate why this Three of Wands this year. It's like, you got to wait a little bit longer, but then someone is going to propose something possibly long term. Maybe you're looking for that, maybe you're not, but the cards say that it's entirely possible. There could also be fighting or feuding with a father figure or a sibling, particularly a brother. A lot of male masculine energy here in terms of like, I say the word opposition kind of, you know, loosely, but something to do with family matters, especially like a male member of your family. So uncle, grandfather, brother, father, you know, whatever, sibling. There could be, and it does have to do with like competition and egos. Even if you are a female Sagittarius, I'm sort of getting the idea of like this kind of machismo, bravado, I don't know, like, you know what measuring contest. You get what, I don't know what that is, but it's like egos feed into it and it could actually lead to really hurt feelings. So be careful with that. Someone is psychologically fragile there. So it could be that friendly competition goes too far and someone actually gets really upset about something. All right. Down here we have Page of Potions, the King of Candles. So that's the King of Fire, the King of Wands, and the Wheel of Fortune. So again, I see more fire signs around you in a more romantic capacity. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It could be that in Scorpio season, they're kind of doing this. I also think it could be someone who's on the cusp of Scorpio Sag, kind of has this ability to be very kind of discreet and secretive and strategic of how they want to approach you and confess their feelings. But it's like then they up the ante and they're ready to come forward in a more bold, striking out kind of way with the King of Candles. There's like a hierarchy, right? That's what I'm looking at. The knight to the king. It's like they decide to double down and put themselves out there and be like, you know what? I'm going to ask Sagittarius out. Or, you know, if you're already dating a fire sign, you know what, like I'm going to suggest that we move in together or that we take a trip together or something like that. With the Wheel of Fortune, that can definitely indicate travel. But also it's just a changing of the cycle. It's a turning of the season in terms of your own personal growth. It's, you know, a good windfall. It's beautiful blessings coming in. It's a change up that will benefit you in some way. That also may involve a Taurus in some capacity, or again, a Libra. Possibly an Aries, but I'm not getting that as strong. Leo is coming through as well. Some of you may be volunteering your time or doing something that is a little bit more selfless. Volunteering your time, giving to charity, giving to causes. Yeah, a lot of volunteering, possibly something to do with someone who is disabled or special needs. That may be an area of interest for you. It's possible that there's I'm sort of getting a child, in somehow in your network. So it could be your best friend's kid, it could be a niece or a nephew or a cousin, someone relatively young who maybe there's a new diagnosis. And I don't know how much it impacts you, but you feel very moved to step up and help in some capacity. And that's where that Sagittarian optimism is so beautiful. It's like, obviously you can't save the world, you can't save everyone, but it's like by doing your little piece, by doing your little part, there's something that it makes you feel good. It's like putting good on this earth. That's what I really love about this energy. Yeah, I am getting something about special needs or disabilities and working in some close capacity, either with a cause that supports that and champions that sort of thing. Maybe you're helping to raise money, or again, volunteering your time. For some of you, it's sort of a breadcrumb trail to something bigger. And I'm not sure exactly what that is. I just heard sign language too, so that may factor into it. It could just be out of pure curiosity, you stumble upon an article and it reminds you of that conversation you had with your boss or your coworker, and you kind of fall down this rabbit hole of something that of the aforementioned, but it's leading you to something greater. The Eight of Cups isn't here, but I'm actually seeing it in my head, which is this sort of striking out in a new, brave way to abandon what you've known emotionally from a certain period of time and venturing off into the unknown with this great hope, this great faith that there is something else out there for you, and it's going to be more emotionally fulfilling and more emotionally satisfying. So for some of you, it's not going to make sense now, but I'm telling you, in 3 months, it's going to be one of those, I may change my career entirely. Like it's kind of one of those, like you're just getting the taste of it. You're starting to get the smell of it. There's something like, do you understand what I mean? Like there's something in the universe that the universe is trying to get your attention, but it doesn't happen immediately. It's not this light bulb moment. It's not this epiphany. It's like this, yeah, I'm just kind of like, I've been reading up on this and I just think it's really interesting and you're wanting to have conversations about it. Do that, because it's like when you start opening that up to connections and networking, you're going to find your tribe. You're going to find your people who are actually going to help guide you on this without them even knowing it. It's like sort of like angels in disguise. Let's see, something about medicine or some, I don't know, some new medication or medical treatment or routine. I don't know if it's health, diet, exercise related. For some of you, I'm just here to remind you, like, you need to do better. You know exactly what it is. It's nothing new. It's like something that the doctor has been telling you for, possibly years or months, or, something that, your spouse has been nagging you about. You need to freaking do it. And it's Sagittarius. Wheel of Fortune says it's going to benefit you. It's going to be good for you. You need to stand in your higher power, King of Candles, King of Wands, and you need to take good care of your health. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? So if you're coming at something at half capacity, if you're overdoing it, if you're overextending yourself, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're eating crap and junk food, it's like you gotta, your body is your temple. You gotta value your system and put some effort into achieving better health so that you can go out in the world and kick ass. So that isn't a new message, especially with the Page of Cups. It's like, this is a reminder, you need to do the thing, and you know it. Sorry, Sagittarius, I said it. There may be an engagement or a celebration with an Aries, particularly those who are in a business partnership with an Aries. You may be celebrating an anniversary of a launch or a marketing thing, or like I don't know, marketing campaign. I don't know what that is. If you're in partnership with a fellow fire sign, especially an Aries, there could be a milestone anniversary in your work life. It's possible that may have to do with a romantic partnership as well, but I don't get that as strongly, so I feel like that's for a select few of you. Some of you may be asked to give a speech or a presentation in the coming months. For some of you are going to be asked to officiate a wedding, and it comes out of the complete blue. Like you've never done this before. It's so not your thing, but the thing is, you're going to crush it. You're going to be really good at it because you're witty and you're funny and you know all these great stories to tell about the couple and whatever. Like some of you are going to officiate a wedding and it comes completely out of left field. You're just like, me? It's easy. You can do it. You get like a little certificate online. It'll be great. Others of you at work, you may be asked to make a speech or asked to stand and give a presentation. Some of you may actually be planning to give a very important lecture. Yeah, something to students or I don't know, alumni, something educational. And I do see you having a little bit of nerves about it, even though I think you're going to do very well. Something about this is also like a breadcrumb trail. Even if it's just a one-off, it's like a one and done for you. I'm just getting this idea of like there's a higher power watching this. For some of you, that's in the physical 3D, like it's a boss or a superior or someone who could benefit your career. It's like someone is watching. Even if you don't know who this person is yet, it's like someone in the audience has scoped you out and sized you up and been like, ooh, I want to add Sagittarius to my team. I'm going to talk to them after the lecture. Others of you, it's more of like a higher power, like a higher source. Like, you know, I hate to sound cheesy, but it's like God is watching. And so something about this is a very significant moment that in your life that you don't realize yet. But it's going to trickle over into your next chapter in life. And it's, I don't know, something about it is informing you or inspiring you for the future. All right, Sagittarius, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that was helpful and interesting, at least. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye.